telling you, dude, I'm not taking a trip to Seattle, Tacoma without going to the Chaz. And if you think that we're not going to make something out of that, you got another thing coming. I got to go to the Chaz. I even found it on a map today. I'm going to go, man.
Go. 100%.
When are you going to Seattle?
March 5th through the 9th.
For what? Work?
For my daughter. She lives up there now.
I mean, it's like she's graduating or something or whatever. I mean, you're just visiting.
No, she's in the Striker Brigade, whatever they call it.
Well,
now.
I mean, I know where she's at, but I didn't know if there was something because you've flown back to the States so many times over the last 3 fucking years. I figured there was something special that you were coming back for, you know.
No, just to see her, and she was cool too. She's like, oh, you know what we should do? We should just come to the house. Y'all should just come over to the house. We'll buy a couple bottles of something and get drunk. Wouldn't that be fun? And I was like, yes, that will be fun.
So are you just going there and flying home, or are you seeing family and all that other stuff?
Dude, yeah, we're flying into Atlanta. We're gonna drive over and see the ambassador and her family, and then we're flying to Dallas, and then we're driving to Lubbock and Amarillo to see my family, and then back to Dallas, up to Seattle, Tacoma, back to Dallas, and back home. Dude, there's like a month goes by really fast.
I didn't
hear Arizona or North Carolina in any one of those places.
Yeah,
that's why you can come see me, man. Don't you have a contract in Texas or something? Josh is frozen. He was frozen.
I don't think.
No, he's not frozen.
Well, I'll be in Atlanta. In Texas, I mean, Amarillo is kind of close to Phoenix. It's about, what, 11-hour drive? 12?
Yeah, so I'll keep a room open for you.
Yeah, just come on over, man. Shoot on over. My mom will spring for an Airbnb for you. And my mom chickened out on going to Phoenix, by the way. She's too scared of COVID, I think.
Really?
Yeah. My mom, she's scared of COVID.
Well, I mean, I get it. She's older, so I mean, I like we've been saying. I mean, there is a population. It's like, yeah, you do need to watch. I wouldn't want, like when I had it, I didn't go to visit my mom. Yeah, I don't want her to get it. She's 60-some years old, so I'm not trying to give it to her, but
The thing is, I mean, and my mom doesn't watch the YouTube portion, so she's whatever. But yeah, man, she says, well, I got to be careful. But she goes to high school basketball games. She goes, gets her nails done. She goes and gets her hair done. She goes and gets all these things done. Well, it's a block. It's a block in the mind, you know? Yes. So we haven't been talking about this for almost a goddamn year.
So you're not coming to North Carolina? That's what
we'll see. We'll see. You got an extra
What about
room?
Phoenix? Is Phoenix like a we'll see, or is Phoenix just a no?
You know what? I think we might stop in Phoenix on our flight to Tacoma. We'll be there for like an hour and a half. Hey, I'm all over Josh's.
You know what? If you stopped in Phoenix on a layover, I would meet you out there to go eat lunch with you.
I know you would. I'll tell you, it's either Phoenix or Denver. But I'm all about Josh's thing. Let's go to Boston in September, man. Let's go. Just for the hell of it.
Yeah.
Go to the what was the sandwich place, Roger? Oh,
La Grasse's.
Yes. God.
Because Roast Beef, it shut down, man.
Yeah, that sucks, dude.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Sam La Grasse's.
I eat there every day. Every day I would eat there.
Yeah, their sandwiches are, I mean, it's not enough good things to say about them.
How many pull-ups did you do today?
Today I did 0.
You did 9 yesterday and 0 today. Come on, man.
Yeah, I did 0 today.
You got to rep them out after this.
Oh, man.
Do you how do you do them? You do close grip, open grip? What do you do? Wide?
No, just a little bit wider than shoulders. I can't do them like real wide. I can't do them real close. But
you go up to the chest, yeah?
So, yeah. Well, just, right there above the bars. Like, all right. Like
Luke does the flexed arm hang. 60 seconds.
In elementary school, the girls had to do flex arm hang.
Yep.
Remember that?
Just hold it as long as you can.
Yep.
I've never been real strong on pull-ups. I think that I mean, when I was in my prime, I was cranking them out, but like right now, I doubt I could do 9. I don't know if I could do 9 right now.
It's
You
not.
know what? The thing with pull-ups, though, it's all technique. Because I tell you, like I was never good at pull-ups until my last tour. We had rings that hung from the ceiling, so I started doing pull-ups every day. And matter of fact, I was down there with Sam, and so we were doing pull-ups every day. By the time we left, I think we were both able to rep out over 20 dead hang pull-ups, and then you go from like rings to a bar. Holy shit, dude! I mean, it's
Well,
like
it's
super
hard
easy.
too. The good thing about like the ring, so they have what I forget where it was. It was at one of the outstations, but the you had the regular bar, then you had the different angles coming off of it.
Yeah.
Bars with different angles, and like it was a lot, dude. That straight bar, like that's not easy, right? Because it puts a lot of torque on your forearms and stuff. But you get one of those angle bars or a ring to where like you can kind of turn it.
Yeah.
A little bit and get your hands right where you can rep those things out. But yeah, man, it was no, I didn't do any today, man. I got home from work, dude. It was today was a beatdown again. And I got home and I was like, man, you know what this bourbon tastes like? It tastes like I'm not working out today. That's what it tastes like. I don't travel on the weekends in my suit.
Josh, are you downloading the fucking update to Call of Duty right now?
Yes.
We can't see you. It says Big Matty TV has been disabled due to internet quality issues. Their video is still recorded. I can't see him. Says he's got shitty internet because he decides that he wants to download Warzone updates. There you go.
Maybe we should start over. Because we've been talking for like 20 minutes.
Do you want me to go? Do you want me to go turn? You want me to go pause it?
No. You're fine.
You need to be. You need to be careful talking about this transgender stuff, man. I'm just saying, speak your mind, but.
Well, hang on. Before we get down there, let's go ahead and get into our episode here. Good day. Welcome to another episode of Culper's Canteen Cup. I think we're on episode 49. Thanks to Carlton Zeus, www.carltonzeus.com or Apple Music. Are we on 50? No, we're 49.
Oh, never mind. Don't mind me.
Anyway, yeah, don't mind the other third person who apparently it's the first time he's ever been on the show. But episode 49, thanks to Carlton Zeus, still letting us use his intro music. So with this one here, over the last couple weeks, we've thrown out a couple random things. We had some poetry reading or a poetry reading there that hopefully some folks enjoyed. It was a pretty quick one. And then we talked a lot about the Biden administration and this and that. And I think one of the things that we wanted to do when we started this podcast was, we are into politics. I think for a lot of us, it's a hobby, but we didn't necessarily want to focus the whole podcast specifically around just politics. So I think this week here, we're going, and maybe I think we're still going to bring up some political issues, but with this episode here, we're going to have a little bit of a grab bag and just kind of, shoot off the cuff here and talk about some random things. But go ahead. Luke was actually, he had a thought that he was trying to complete, and then I cut him off and we started our intro here. So
I'll save that thought for later. I'll save that thought for later. I was telling Josh, I don't know. These days with internet censorship and all that stuff, we have to be careful. And I think there's going to be a subject we touch on later where Josh is going to have to, we're all going to have to be careful because.
Don't be scared.
No. I want to talk about something else first. So we could transition. We can transition into something else after we get done with this. So, after the Tom and Jen Satterley program, I think that was episode 47, I think. Whatever, a couple episodes ago. And I'll tell you again, if you haven't listened to that one, stop this one right now. Go back and listen to that one because it's good. It really is good. We got a lot of positive feedback from the people who did listen to it. So go back. Now, Tom was a pretty high-speed knuckle dragon, America's finest knuckle dragger operator for a while. And I feel like after playing numerous games of Warzone, Call of Duty Warzone over the last month or so, taking a break. Actually, it's creeping up into like 2 months now. I've been taking a break and playing a lot of Warzone. I feel like I have a lot in common with Tom, I feel like I have a lot in common with him because I'm on Warzone, I'm like doing my thing. And so I feel more of a connection with him because I'm not bad at Warzone. I'm okay, so I think I could be an operator. But I'll tell you what, if you look at our records, Josh plays, Roger plays. Nobody compares to Roger. I mean, he's got more wins, more top 10 finishes, more kills, everything, man. And it's not just the time he plays either, because I tried to work out the time he played, because you look up how much time they played and everything, and I'm like, well, if you average it out, I'm sure I'm just as good. So I put pen to paper, and I'm like, nope, I'm not as good, even because he's played more time than I have, but he's pretty good. So Roger, for those, I know a lot of people may not be familiar with this, with Call of Duty Warzone. It's a lot like that other game, Fortnite. 150 people start. You start on this big map. It circles in. The circle gets smaller and smaller, and last person standing wins. So this is the beginning of the bullshit episode. We're calling it the BS episode. I'm going to ask Roger and Josh, what are some of your tactics in Warzone to be so good?
Not to die. That kind of works out for me. No, I think with the I think when it comes down to Warzone, so like, and it's very different from multiplayer. So if you go out multiplayer, it's like 6-on-6, right? And the goal is to kill other people because you're going to continue to respawn. I think what people fail to realize with Warzone is you can win Warzone and never kill anybody. You don't have to shoot your weapon one time. The goal is to be that. And for those that haven't played it, I think you've got like 300 million people out there that have probably played this game. But for those that haven't played it, you basically you're trying to survive. You're trying to be the last one standing, and so the gas closes in on you, and the gas will kill you, and eventually you're just trying to be the last one standing. So 99% of the time, it probably results in you having a shootout with somebody, but you can win games and never fire a shot. We've played with one of our buddies, Jason, and it was 1-on-2. And he ended up hiding in a bush, and the other two that were left ended up killing each other. And he laying in the bush. Next thing you know, boom, winning. So the number one thing is not to necessarily be so aggressive. You're aggressive when you need to be, right? If the guy's coming right at you or whatever, you shoot him. But if somebody's running by me, man, I will lay in that bush and just let them go, because they're going to get. I know you can't help yourself, and that's the problem. It takes a lot of it takes a lot of willpower to sit there, especially when, like, I'll have and it is different if you're playing like solos and duos, trios, or quads, because if I'm playing solos or even duos and I'm carrying a sniper rifle and I see somebody and I've got that clear shot, I'll take the shot because I can kill them and I don't have to worry about 3 other folks coming after me. When you're playing quads, he's going to get revived because the other 3 are going to start shooting back. Then one's going to break off. They're going to revive him or whatever. So it's just not worth your time. So I'm more of a dude. I lay in the bush. I don't sit there and corner camp or anything like that. I try to ride the circle in, keep the circle to my back. That way it's at least at 90 degrees that I don't have to take a look at as far as enemies coming, but try to let the circle push me in, not fire unless I have to. And then once it gets down to 1-on-1, 1-on-2, something like that, then I'll be more aggressive, because I did play a lot of multiplayer. And unlike Josh, I actually have a pretty decent internet connection. So I'm pretty confident in my skills when I get down to that 1-on-1 battle type thing. But, when you start out and you've got 150 players to start shooting at somebody, I mean, you're just asking for the other 148 players behind you to start shooting at you. So that's kind of, those are tips, my famous, Warzone tips for all my victories and this and that. I'm sure Josh can enlighten you on some of his tips on how he doesn't win any games. But go ahead, Josh.
I don't win any games because I'm exactly the person you described. I'm too aggressive. But
you did pop your cherry. You did pop your cherry with us. I think I forget. It was like me, you, and was it Luke, or it was like Zeister?
I think I was there,
like that, right?
Yeah.
It
might have been 4 of us.
So, I mean, it's one of those things. Like, I have, I think everybody has kind of like their favorite, places on the map that they like to go because they're familiar with the layout, they're familiar with the buildings. They generally know, like, generally this kind of loot is going to be found, around here. So, and a lot of times, man, I'll go to places where I know a lot of people go just so I can try to shoot people. So the games that I do try and win, it's get in, get somewhere to where you can at least get just some basic, some basic items, some basic survival items, and then go camp the edges. It's really go camp the edges, and then just let the gas push you in. And like you said, just try and hide as much as possible. Until you got the last.
And it is totally different. It's totally different from multiplayer because like when I play multiplayer, so I can't snipe worth shit. And so when I play multiplayer, I'm the SMG guy just running gun through the map. And it's like I might die 15 times, but I'm gonna get 21 kills. Yep. That's probably what's gonna happen. And it's just so different because you get to Warzone, it's like, hey, game slows down, and even though the guy at the beginning is like, kill them all, it's like, well, no, that actually isn't the goal or the objective. The goal is to win and survive.
Yeah, and you could actually kill everyone twice, and still, you could win, and you could kill everyone twice. I mean, that could happen. I doubt it ever has. 1 in a billion, probably. But yeah, I try to adopt a combination. When I'm playing solos, I'm a hiding, camping little bee, man. It's pathetic. But when I'm with Roger, I'm like, oh, I'm with a good guy. I'm with a guy who's good. I'm gonna take a shot at this guy from across the map, and then Roger gets all bad, and that's the way it goes. I don't know, man. I camp. I'm not that good, but it is an interesting thing. It's such the way I justified playing, and I can't justify it like this anymore. Is like this is an escape from reality. I think about nothing else but this game while I'm playing. The problem is, you can go down the rabbit hole with that, and it becomes a monumental time waster. It's just an enemy of productivity. And so I try to limit it now. I'm getting better and, focus more on some more productive parts of my life, like this show, for instance. But what's interesting is you can pick this is a thing, and we're going to transition to the next topic here, and we're going to drop a nuclear bomb on the audience, probably get I don't know. We're going to get some hate on this one. And we got to talk about David, by the way. Don't let us forget to talk about David, our hater. So anyway, you play this game, and you can play any sort of character, right? You can pick your character. We call them skins. You can pick your skin. So you can be like the Hua Hua Air Force, pararescue guy with the big, K-pod on his head. Or you can be the covert ops guy wearing a leather jacket. My character looks like something out of, the cutting room floor of Breaking Bad. My guy looks like a meth addict. It's great. Looks just like me. But what I notice in this game is obviously more males play than females. This game, video games, it's just the way it goes. I'd say tops 10% are female that actually play the game. But I notice in the game, so many skins are of females. So you've got a lot of males out there running with a female skin, so they're playing like a female character. Now, this brings up a couple things. It's like, wow, we're supposed to be like portraying a special ops, type environment where, it's all, ground pounders, knuckle draggers, operators who are out there shooting and lifting and doing all these things. There wouldn't be that many females out there. Now, what I keep looking for, since there's such a push on this in American society right now, and it's a matter of time, fellas. It's a matter of time before there is a character you can play that is transgendered. I'm
Maybe they already are.
It's coming, and they could.
Maybe it already is.
Could be, and that's a good point, Roger. So, why don't we roll in? We said we weren't going to talk too much politics, but I think we should maybe roll into the SecDef, some stuff that came out on the, overriding the transgender ban. We could talk about that a little bit, because I know Josh got a little heated on Facebook the other day, using Culper's Canteen Cup's name in vain. And but I'll kick it to Roger, and then Roger, I'm sure we'll kick it to Josh, and we'll talk about this.
Well, I actually want to go back to your comment on as far as the avatars they use or whatever, because sometimes I'll use a female avatar and sometimes I'll use a male. It's actually got nothing to do with like people wanting to be the female. It's a smaller hitbox, smaller character. So you pick the female because there's less target to hit, believe it or not, other than the big, your big nug that runs around and, you got your, and I get it, man. I love the patriotic stars and stripes and this and that, but you're wearing the American flag bright as fuck. dude, you want the small, tiny chick that's all dressed in black or green because it's just a smaller hitbox. So there actually is a little bit of strategy.
That's interesting. I didn't think about it that way. Okay.
But that brought up, we've been trying to bring some excitement to this show, and Luke brought this up prior to us starting to record, and then he wanted to wait and then bring. What do you give me that look for? Talking about transgenders, right? Yeah, talking about transgenders. So he brought this up prior to us starting to record, and then he wanted to hold off to later or whatever. But we I don't want to say well, no, we don't troll. This was just a response. It was a response to a post, and I forget what exactly it was, but oh yeah, that's what it was. So Kirsten Sinema, our senator out here, Democrat senator in Arizona, and believe it or not, she's actually taken some more moderate stances lately, especially with like the filibuster, which I think we talked about an episode or two ago, and a couple other things where she has leaned a little to the right and pissing off a lot of the Democratic base. But anyway, the other day, I forget what the day it was or what holiday it was, Josh, you might know, but it was like celebration of women athletes or something like that day. And I don't know if it was like an Arizona thing or a nationwide thing or whatever, but she basically posted, say, hey, this is to honor all the women athletes out there, yada, yada, yada. And so, of course, from there, it goes right into the whole transgender conversation, right? Where nobody, it's like even with posts, I don't generally go into posts hateful. I do try to bring something constructive to it, but nowadays it's just not the way it is. She posted up there, and as soon as she posts it, which has nothing to do with it, somebody posts something about transgenders, and of course you can imagine where it goes from there. Somebody's like, oh, it's bullshit. They shouldn't allow transgenders to compete in sports, and then other people are like, screw you and this and that. So for me, and I just posted a simple comment. It was very simple, XX, XY, right? So, and referring to, hey, you generally have 46 chromosomes, most people, and you're either XX, XY, and it determines if you're male or female. So you can dress that up for 99 point, and I forget what the percentage is, Luke, like 0.02% or whatever it is, but for 0.98% of the population, you can dress however you want. I don't really give a shit. You can wear makeup, you can buzz your head. I don't really care. But whatever you do to look like the other gender, you're still an XX or XY. That's what it is. And then, obviously, I clearly, with that statement, didn't cover the other 0.00005% of the population. And this actually got me thinking a little bit, because there are folks out there that have more or less chromosomes. And it's you can have 47, 48, and I think up to 49 is what they've said. But my question was, if you have, well, I guess with transgenders, what percentage of transgenders out there have the extra chromosome? Because that could make a difference. Now, it doesn't change my stance on competing in sports and this and that. But there would be, and again, I get it's a very small population, but if you are a transgender because you've got the extra chromosome or whatever, there could be something to that, right? I think, at least in my mind, because you're not just XXXY. You've got some additional things there that even mentally, physically, or whatever, can cause a lot of confusion. But generally speaking, I don't know, and Josh, I'll turn this over to you and get your thoughts on it, but I don't know. I mean, what percentage, and I'm actually going to do this, not intentionally, or, I ask you the question, I go into like 20 different pieces, because, well, I'll go to the 20 different pieces first. I posted that, and then immediately I got a lot of fucking hate mail, or hate posts. Well, you clearly only have sixth grade, science and da-da-da. And so then I asked that question. I was very serious about it. I was curious. I was like, so what percentage of transgenders have the extra chromosome? Because there is something there, to that, scientific, science-wise. And then he says, he comes back and he's like, first you have to demonstrate to me, da-da-da. So he's real snarky, right? And simple reply, and we've talked about this before, simple reply just came back and said, I said, hey, why don't you come on Culper's Canteen Cup and go ahead and educate the rest of our listeners? Not another fucking post. Crickets. Dude just dove off, right? Because he was so smart. He was so smart. And then when we give him the opportunity to go educate folks, and I was being serious. I was being nice in the post. I don't know if you guys read the post or whatever, but I was being very nice in the post. I was very respectful. And I wasn't joking or anything like that. I was like, hey, come on the podcast. And crickets. So then this chick jumps in, and she wants to get in the grab bag of it. And she starts throwing out some like random, they're not even facts. It's like it goes back to Luke's anecdotal evidence. So then I asked her, she's like, oh, well, you just wanted the attention. I'm like, no, I'm actually curious. What percentage of transgenders have the extra chromosome? Well, I'm not going to go Google that for you and do your due diligence, and basically just called me that I was stupid. So then I came back and said, hey, look, I get it. I'm the crayon eater in this group as far as transgenders go. I get that. So I thought it was better to have a subject matter expert like herself come on who can properly articulate all this stuff. And then of course it was crickets again. So you've got all these people out there, right, that are telling me that I'm wrong, and maybe I am wrong. I mean, I could be absolutely wrong, and I was being genuine in it. But they sit there and they make these claims based on nothing, a lot of it. And then when you seriously throw out, and I see this more with the left than I do the right. The right does it as well, but I do see it more with the left than I do with the right, especially with the, listen to the science, man. Okay, well, I'm trying to listen to the science, and I'm trying to get you to give me the science, or just tell me where I can go look it up. Tell me where I can go read it, because I've done my the share of due diligence I'm going to do on it. But you give these folks an opportunity and even a forum, because I think her comment was, well, I don't feel, or it would be awkward for me coming on and educating someone of your age. And then I was like, well, hey, we actually have a lot of listeners that are in their early 20s. So there's some folks that would be probably very interested. And I would tell you this, like with my kids, I think they'd be interested to hear, like, hey, you know what? There is a serious issue about transgenders competing in sports, because of all transgenders, 75% of them have the extra chromosomes. Okay, so that to me is something that's like, okay, that makes sense. Maybe that is something that we need to address. But I'm willing to say, and I'm just taking a shot in the dark here. So one of our listeners out there knows better than we do, or what I'm just getting ready to throw out. I'm willing to say that probably 99% of the transgenders do not have the extra chromosome. I think it's just, it's whatever they feel they need to be a man or a woman or whatever. But that is a guess. I guess I can do some more due diligence and try to look it up. But now I'll throw it back over to Josh. That way I didn't just load him up with a question and go on a 20-minute rant there. But what's your take on the old transgenders and their participation in sports, and how do you solve that issue?
All right, so I'm gonna try and couch this to where we don't, the FCC doesn't, shut us down. As far as the whole like transgender thing goes, I'll leave it at this. If that's your thing, that's your thing. If, we've allowed people to marry trees, but, they allowed a lady in England to marry a tree, legally marry a tree. So at the end of the day, man, if somebody wakes up and says, I feel like I'm the opposite sex, all right, whatever, right? If that's your thing, that's your thing. And if we're, having a meal together or something, and you want me to call you, Justina, Justin, right? Which was your given name. That's fine. I'll absolutely call you. I'll call you whatever. I'll call you anything but late for lunch. But what I'm not going to do is I'm not going to say, yes, I agree that, that sex is malleable. It's not. Right. Yeah. Bruce Jenner. I don't care what Bruce Jenner calls himself or says he is. At the end of the day, Bruce Jenner, Bruce Jenner is a man. Right. It's just, I'm sorry. That's just, it's just what it is. And it kills me that this comes, this big push from the quote unquote, party of science, as they've labeled themselves, has chosen to ignore basically all of history, right? And say, well, no, I can wake up one morning and I can identify as whatever I want. I can wake up tomorrow morning and say that I'm an astronaut. But anybody who knows me clearly knows that I am way too stupid to be an astronaut, and therefore I can say whatever. I'm not an astronaut. And so that's that. As far as the sports thing, I don't think that transgenders, I don't think men, men who say, I'm now a woman should be allowed to compete in women's sports. Because again, at the end of the day, men and women they were by design, they were built differently. They were designed differently. And whether you believe in evolution, whether you believe in creationism, it doesn't matter, right? If you're different, males and females are different for very reason. And it's not, this kind of goes back toward the feminist movement a little bit. It's like, we can do everything a man can do. Well, that's fine. I got no problem. I have no problem with that. Like, I have no problem with women in combat arms. I have no problem with women, going to Ranger school. I have no problem with women in, a Green Beret. They just, the first female Green Beret graduated in the last year from the Q course. And, I've seen a lot of stuff. And you know what? And she's legit, right? She is hard as nails. She's legit. And I applaud that. I have no problem with that, right? But my belief is that women weren't created to do everything men can do. Women were created to do what men can't do, right? And so, and vice versa, yeah. And so, that's just, that's what I believe in. We've come to this. Everybody has to be equal. I can do everything too. I can do this. I can do that. Well, that wasn't the intent, right? And again, whether you believe in evolution or creation, it doesn't matter. That wasn't the intent. So when you start talking about women in sports, what is kind of is strange to me is that you're actually destroying women's rights. You're destroying women, female empowerment, right? So when you go back and you look at female weightlifting teams, you look at female weightlifters in the Olympics, you look at track, you look at a lot of these sports. And even in Connecticut, they're going through this right now. There's a legal battle right now in the courts because there's 2 transgender athletes up there, boys who have now identified as girls. They are destroying girls' track meets. I mean, it's not even close. Like, they are absolutely 100% destroying girls' track meets. And guess who's getting the college scholarships? Well, it's not the girls anymore. It's not the biological girls. It's these 2 boys who think they're girls, who say they're girls, that they're getting the scholarships. They're winning the track meets. And at the end of the day, you're setting women back by allowing this to happen. If you want to participate in sports, then that's fine. My high school, my senior year of high school, one of our female soccer players went and tried out to be the kicker for our high school football team. And guess what? She made it. We had a female kicker my senior year in high school. That wasn't a problem. That was fine. Hey, you know what? You went out there and you outkicked a couple of the dudes you tried out for kicker. No problem with that, right? Absolutely no issue. But when you turn around, she wasn't going to, she wasn't going to go up and outkick, some of the other guys in the city and the county for, scholarships. She wasn't, she was good. She was better than the, guy kickers in my school, but she wasn't, better than the other guys in the county or in the state. So, but that's not the point. But you turn around and you have these boys who's like, okay, well, now I'm a female and I'm going to go and just crush all these things. That's you are setting women back. And the left continues to champion this, and they don't realize that, for years, decades, they fought for women's rights and women's empowerment and, progress in, different fields and breaking that glass ceiling. You're not doing them any good by allowing this and championing this. You're not. And now you have, Biden lifted the transgender ban in the military. I'm curious to hear Luke's thoughts on that, and I have one point on that, but I'll save it for the next go around. So, Luke, transgender.
Well, how about this? I'll address some of your points, and then I'll kick it right back to you, and we'll just ignore Roger for a little while. So you're spot on, Josh. I've been doing a lot of reading on this. Trying to get beyond common sense. I know that sounds crazy. I'm trying to get beyond common sense, but you try to put yourself in the mind of social justice warriors and intersectionality, things like this, and you really have to. I'm not going to call them the enemy, although they are. I will. You have to understand your enemy in order to win the culture war, or at least fight the culture war. So I spend a lot of time trying to understand, I'll say it, the enemy, because this movement is not doing anything good. Josh, you're spot on when you said this is not furthering or maintaining, the whole spirit of Title IX. Title IX and NCAA athletics, the whole point of it was to make an even playing field between males and females. And this right here, it completely destroys Title IX. We might as well not even have a Title IX. And people, we're always talking about, well, these, it's so difficult to even talk about this stuff. These former males who transition to females want to run on the track team or play on the soccer team or whatever. We're always talking about that. Here's the thing, and Josh brought it up. He talked about the kickers, the female kickers who want to be a kicker on a football team, on a high school football team. Okay, all right, let's table that for just a second. No one ever talks about the females transitioning to males who want to be on the wrestling team, football, or basketball teams. No one's talking about that. And my question is, why not? Why not? Because eventually we will be talking about it. And then the question will be asked, well, the boys are just too competitive. They're too physical. We've got to do something about this. I mean, it truly is. It's not 1984. It's another book. I'll think of it in a second. Can't think of the name of the book, where everyone has to be handicapped down to the lowest common denominator, so everyone's equal. That's where this goes. I mean, it's common sense. Now, with the female kickers, as long as their role is just to kick, that's fine. That's fine. You get a 5 or 6A school in Texas. That's what I'm familiar with. I mean, that's real ball. You're talking about like 5A ball, that's real ball. And these are guys who can play at JUCO, they can play at the university level. I mean, these are physical, big dudes who play football at the 5A level in Texas. What if a female wants to kick at that level, you've got 10 other dudes who can go down there and make the tackle. I would be concerned about my daughter on a football field at the 5A level trying to tackle dudes. Or trying to get, or trying to go downfield at all, and just getting laid the F out. I mean, there is serious concerns there. And at the lower levels, your 4A, 3A, 2A, having a female kicker is not an option, because that female kicker will get hit, and they'll get hit hard. And I'm concerned with female safety, and we can talk about the Israeli, military study about how men react differently to women being injured than men. There was an in-depth study, and we can look it up and post it on the page. Not that any of you comment on the Facebook page, but if you're interested, we'll post it up. I mean, the Israelis did an in-depth study because for the Israelis, it's real, and they need every person to be an infantry person, infantry man, infantry woman, whatever. So they did an in-depth study: can women be in combat? And what they found was, and this didn't keep the women from being combat arms, but what they found was, if a woman gets shot in the arm, for instance, a female gets shot in the arm, and another male soldier in the same squad or whatever gets shot in the chest, 9 times out of 10, basically, the rest of the squad, if they're males, will tend to the female with a less serious injury than the male, because that is a man's human nature. It's our nature is to protect women. It really
10
is.
out of 10 if she's hot.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, so I mean, there's a lot. I'll be very interested in this argument when we start talking about a female wanting to be a linebacker on a 5A high school football team in Pennsylvania. But we will never get there, because that's not reality, and it's never going to happen. So why are we trying to play both sides? Whatever. Okay, so we're going to talk about the transgender ban. I was hoping that you guys would cover that. The transgender thing in the military. First of all, I think I said last week, I had no idea so many transgender wanted to join the military. After seeing this firsthand of a soldier who is a soldier who is transitioning from male to female. Yes, transitioning from male to female was being sent from a unit overseas to a unit CONUS. Our unit CONUS knew about 6 months out this person was going to come into the unit. I can tell you firsthand, and I was in a wussy unit with no real mission. You guys know. The one in San Antonio? You know? Yeah. Okay. So even that unit who didn't have a real tip of the spear type mission, their readiness overall in the unit was affected by one person coming to the unit because of all of the planning that had to take place because of this one person. Now, social justice warriors will be like, well, that's a step in the right direction. That's definitely a step in the right direction. That means the military is thinking about this stuff. They're getting ready, and it'll be easier down the road for other people who are transgendered, whatever you want to call them. But my question, I'm going to kick it over to Roger, and I'm not going to do a 20-minute soliloquy after I pose the question, is, so if the military is going to pay for someone to transition, and you've got let's just say a female out there that wants to transition to a male, full hormone treatment, full surgical treatment, everything. You're a recruiter. Do you use that benefit to try to get this person to come in? Okay, number one. That's question number one. And number two, do you do that with a clear conscience? That's a bad question. Do you do that with a clear conscience? Question number three, does it affect readiness? There are the questions.
All right. So as a recruiter, putting my recruiter badge back on, you goddamn right I put them in. I use that shit as a selling point. Hey, I have had fellow recruiters use the Army substance abuse program to entice people to join the Army. Guys like, I can't join the Army. And he's like, well, why can't I join the Army? He's like, because I got an alcohol problem. He's like, don't worry about that, man. We've got ASAP. We got 3 tracks to this shit. So you come in the Army, you're going to be clean for 8 weeks of basic training. And if you fall off the wagon, right, we're going to send you to ASAP. So we got 3 tracks and you won't be an alcoholic anymore, right? So it's on that aspect. And I tell you, I mean, I say it joking, but in all seriousness, if it's legal and the Army's offering that, you use every benefit you can to entice folks, to men and women, to join the military. But I think what the problem that I have with a lot of that stuff is you can do whatever hormone therapy that you want. You know, I think Joe Rogan said this before. I think he had a podcast about it, talking about fighters and this and that, and transgender fighters and just athletes in general. It's like, I don't care if you were just a male for the first 10 years of your life and then you changed over or whatever. Just the benefits that you've had of 10 years of the steroid and you know, the testosterone and this and that your body produces is more than a woman will get in her lifetime, right? So just, and it goes beyond that. And I haven't looked this stuff up myself, but it goes into DNA, or not DNA, but as far as bone density, amount of red blood cells. I mean, there's just a lot to other than just pumping yourself full of estrogen or whatever in the hell, you know, they end up doing. So it's like, even with whatever hormone therapy they go through, and again, I'm like Josh, I really don't give a shit. Hey man, you want to take hormone therapy for whatever and wear a bra or shave your head? That's on you. I don't really care. I mean, you do you. Never cared, whatever. I care when it starts to impact me, right? Or my way of life or my family or whatever. But regardless of all that, it really does go back to, well, I don't care what kind of hormone replacement or therapy or this or that, you're still, your chromosomes, your genes are what they are. You're still at XX, XY, whatever. And it's funny because I just sat here as I was gurgling this stuff, looking at Scientifica, whatever magazine, which is pretty well known. They're talking about, well, you know, sex and gender, there's a lot more to it than XXXY. You know, and they go into it, well, it's what you believe and what can be changed. It's like, well, why? Because you say it is? I mean, the last time I checked, that's kind of what determines. And again, maybe we've got some smarter listeners out there that are willing to educate us on it. Because I'm, you know, I say this genuinely. Like, hey man, if folks have some different data points that they can bring to the table, I'm all for about listening. As far as my conscience goes, yeah, I'd have a clear conscience. I wouldn't have any issues. As far as morale, It's a tough one because obviously it affects morale, and obviously it affects the individual going through it, right? Because depending on the unit they go through and depending on the unit they go to, they're going to get picked on. They're going to get abused. They're going to get bullied. But at the same time, it's like people can get picked on, bullied, and abused for any, physical characteristic that they have. So you say, well, why don't you fix that as well? So, I think the bigger problem that I have with it is you get down into logistics, and it goes back to another question that I have. One, are you comfortable with having that transgender male that became a female at, 28 years old? You good with him showering with your 9-year-old daughter in the gym locker room? Because I wouldn't be. I mean, that's just right. And if you're saying, well, there's just no difference, it's all fine, it's okay, well, then why do we have separate sleeping quarters? Why do certain doctors see women, certain doctors see women or men? Why do we have separate bathrooms? Why do we have separate showers? Just open it all up, right? I mean, we just take it back to like of course it was all males, but you just take it back to the Fort Benning basic training days where it's just like, hey, open stalls, just everybody's got everything. That's what you do. So it's a very slippery slope to go down. It's a very dangerous path to go down. But if it's that much, if it's really not that much of an issue, then why do we separate anything? Well, because clearly it is an issue, and obviously it does impact, troop morale. But it's going to take me away to another topic here, and you guys can feel free to jump back or whatever. I mean, that's something that General Austin can deal with, right? As he is the one who will, execute or whatever this ban or lifting of the ban, because we're also, or I say we, the military is also going through a 60-day stand down for. What is it? Racism and extremists, whatever. So the last time that I checked, and Josh, I think, has a lot more history in General Austin than what I do. But the last time that I checked, he was a 4-star general, right? And he probably hit a couple other stars before he hit 4, because normally it's sequentially. And I get it. He could go 1, 2 to 4, something like that, whatever, depending on the levels of command. So it's like, so you knew all this racism was out there. And General Austin is a black man. So with all of this racism out there, and with all of this extremism out there, and all the white supremacists and this and that, like, he didn't root all that out when he was a 1-star general or a 2-star general or a 4-star general, right? He didn't root all that stuff out. He waits till now where he's sected. Now it's been such a huge problem over the last 2 decades that now I'm going to address it. And Josh said it before. We're not saying that there aren't racist people in the Army. I'll tell you firsthand there are racist people in the Army. Now, I would say this. The percentage of folks that I've run into that have been openly racist, as in I have witnessed it, is way less than what I see in the civilian world. And not to say that it's right, okay? But it's way less than I see in the civilian world. But it just goes back to, it was like when, I forget what was the general, I think maybe, was it Legier, or one of the female generals, talking about when she was a colonel, she was sexually assaulted and didn't have any, or no, maybe it was when she was like a 1-star or something like that, sexually assaulted, didn't have anywhere to go. I'm like, you even as a full bird, it's like, what do you mean you have nowhere to go? You knew exactly what you could do. You stopped that shit. And that's part of the problem. Part of the problem is we have leaders out there that are weak and they won't nip this shit in the bud. So either he's saying one of two things, that racism and extremism in the military just started, right? Just started. So maybe it all just came up during the Trump presidency. Or 2, it's been around for a while and he failed as a leader to address it when he was on active duty, when you can do it. I can tell you, I think the units that we were in together, I saw very little of it. I mean, I think because everybody was so, well, I shouldn't say it's not an excuse. It was our mission and our op tempo. It just comes down to, I don't care if you're red, yellow, green, purple, blue, man. I just need you to do the mission. Guy or girl, I could really care less. I just need you to be able to do the mission. I need you to be able to accomplish the mission. That's all I've ever cared about. Does it happen in the greater Army? Are there people out there in the greater Army that are racist? Yeah, I'm sure there are. Would you say that the Army itself is, as an institution, is racist? I don't think so. I mean, you had a 4-star general, Austin, who became the SecDef, black, right? We've had a couple of them, Colin Powell, right? We've had a black president. We've had a black vice president. So at what point do you say, well, hey, maybe there is no systemic racism? Josh?
Yeah. All right. So I need to close out the my thoughts on the trans piece for the military.
Of
I'll
course.
So two things for the trans piece in the military. I'm not a fan of the military being a social experiment, right? The military is not a social experiment petri. It's not a petri dish. Stop using it as one. So my two things on the trans, right? One, the first is readiness, because we all know, as many times as each of us has been downrange, you come back and you're like, "Hey man, what you doing?" They're like, "Oh, I got to take a college class while you were gone. I got to do this. I got to spend time with my family. Blah blah." Oh, that's nice, because I got to go pick up your slack, right? So the readiness piece is,
Good point.
still an issue for me. And I think it was, who was it? Sergeant Major of the Army, Dan Daly. He was the big push, like, "Hey, if you're not deployable,
Yep.
pack your bags. You can go to Fort Living Room." So, and some people tried to conflate this with, well, what about women, who get pregnant and they're not deployable for 9 months, and and then 6 months afterwards, paternity leave? It's stop trying to conflate the two issues, because they're completely different, right?
And real quick on your stat right there, bring that up just to add to your thing. So before I retired, I sat in a brief with them, and at that point in time, 25% of the Army was non-deployable. 25%. That's 1/4 of the Army.
Yeah, which is absolutely insane, right? So don't try and conflate those two. One, pregnancy in women is a 100% natural scientific process, right? You trying to change, I know scientific is not a word, right? You trying to change your chromosomes and you trying to change your gender, guess what? That's not natural. So stop trying to conflate the two. The second piece I have on that is, if you're a woman and you're going to transition and now say you're a man, oh, okay, that's fine. Do you have to register with the Selective Service? Because I do.
Dun,
I have
dun,
to.
dun.
I have to, every job application I ever fill out, even after I served, 22 plus years. When I retired and became a contractor, guess what I had to fill out on my job application? I had to put in my Selective Service number, because by law, federal law, I have to register with the Selective Service, and you two, clowns do too. But okay, that's fine. You want to be a man? Go be a man, but you should have to register with the Selective Service too, right? Because you get all the benefits that come with being a man, right? So you go register for the draft. So those are my two things on that, is readiness and Selective Service. Guess what? You get to register for the draft now too. As for the extremism piece, 100% there's racism, in the military. But I'll tell you, and I saw it not only in organizations that we were all part of, or the community that we were all part of, but even in the big green machine. I saw it a few times. I'm gonna tell you right now, that shit got shut down quick. And it wasn't like that person got reported. That person had to go see the first sergeant, the commander, got Article 50. Like, that shit was handled in-house at the squad and platoon level, and that shit got sorted out quick.
It's a career killer. It's a career killer, right?
When I was in Alaska, when I was in the Striker Brigade in Alaska, I was in a Cav squadron, right? So my troop, it was 19 Delta, it was Cav Scouts, 11 it was Mortarmen, and and then the low density MOSs that go along with that. And there was an incident where a white kid, he dropped the M word, right? It wasn't a matter of probably 15 minutes before that kid and about 10 other dudes, who all were white, they were in the combatives room. And guess what? It was not an issue ever again. So I think when you talk about that in the military, yes, it exists, but that generally gets policed up pretty quick. And for most of us, especially when you talk about, the organizations that we served in and the community that we served in, the majority of people in those organizations have been in enough situations to where, dude, I don't care what color you are. I need you to watch my back. I'll watch your back. right? At the end of the day, dude, hey man, I don't care what color you are. I need you to be proficient at your job, and I need you to be, I need you to be good with a weapon. That's it. I don't care. And so as far as the extremism goes, especially the whole systemic racism, they still talk about, you still hear systemic racism, and I get into, I won't say argue. I have those discussions on social media all the time, and at some point, I need to really stop engaging with people on social media because a lot of people are really stupid who say systemic racism. Because again, I always go back to, all right, so there's systemic racism right now today as it stands in the United States of America that are oppressing you and keeping you from moving forward with your life. What institution and what law right now is keeping you from moving forward and achieving and being all that you can be to steal the old army motto? And it's crickets. It's well in 1893 Jim Crow. It's like no, stop. Today, right now, on the books, right? We elected Barack Obama to the presidency twice, not only by the electoral vote but by the popular vote, and it wasn't close, right? So tell me that the United States is racist when not even close on the popular vote, they elected a black man to the presidency twice. Tell me how that happened. If the country's so racist, how did that happen? Right? Or half black, whatever you want to say. Right? Kamala Harris, you have your first black vice president. Not your first vice
or
president.
Indian.
Or Indian.
Or Asian.
You want to call it. Right?
Whatever they needed to be this week.
I think, when you go back to, you go back to the 60s and prior to, I think, yes, you absolutely, you had Jim Crow, there were laws in place, redlining, the whole 9 yards, that truly held people back. Redlining got outlawed in 1968, right? So what's your excuse today? What is your excuse today? You go and you take a look at, you look at the connected world that we live in. I'm not confined to my neighborhood and this is all I know, right? This is all I know. So that I'm a product of my environment. That's not the case these days. You know what's out there. You know that you have the opportunity to not become a product of your environment, right? We were talking about, the big guy, that was with us, earlier, when we were all serving up in Maryland. He grew up on the south side of Chicago in a single parent home. If anybody was, if you tell me that, hey, no one can make it, that this is that, he would be gangbanging in the south side of Chicago right now, but he's not. He's a 14 working for Department of Homeland Security. So don't tell me that, you're oppressed and, people have, their boot on your neck, because that's just bullshit. At this point, it's just you're perpetualizing the whole victimhood mentality, and you're just making an excuse for you to be fucking lazy. That's all it is. That's all it is. So that's what I'll say. The whole the whole stand down thing with Austin and everything. Hey man, that guy was a GCC commander. He was the sitcom commander. It wasn't like, oh man, you're the Southcom commander. That's cute. Right? You are the sitcom commander, right? That's no small feat. Colin Powell, went on to be Secretary of State. Like, don't give me this shit anymore. It's just whatever. It gets me riled up. I don't want to get riled up.
Hey, the CENTCOM commander could not root out racism in his unit. Right? I mean, that's what he's saying. Clearly.
100%. 100%.
Unless it's a new occurrence over the past 4 years, unless it's a new occurrence. And I want to echo what Josh said about, racism and stuff like that. I remember when I arrived at Fort Bragg, after Josh was already there, blazed the trail for me at Fort Bragg at the 525. We got to the reception down there and they were like, yeah, strip off all your clothes. I'm like, what's going on? So they had to take a picture of all the tattoos to look for swastikas and whatever. So this stuff has been going on for a while, man. I had a Marine, good friend of mine, I'll say his first name, Jason, told me a story about numerous skinheads who were in his, who were in his orbit over the years, and he, in the Marine Corps, and it is what it was. I mean, that was years ago. I mean, this has always been a problem. And, you know, the military is a microcosm of society. It really is. So, I mean, that I guess that's what they're trying to say is we need to root out white supremacy in the military and root it out in society. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think this is first of all, I don't think it's a major problem. It's not. And second of all, it's not a new problem. It's a problem that will always be there, and it's not a major one. Because in the military, man, I'm telling you, walk down the street of your hometown, and that's what it's like being in the military. Walk down the street of any place. It's what it's like being in the military, man. It is a microcosm of society. That's one of the reasons they like to, try out new social experiments on the military to see if it actually works in real society. And you know what? That's fine. Whatever. Let's see if it works. Just don't force it to work at the expense of readiness, which I think is what we're all saying. Now, that guy, I'm going to say his name, Chuck. I'm not going to say his last name, obviously. But that dude, he really did, AOC doesn't think it's physically possible, but that dude pulled himself up by the bootstraps. He really did. And he's doing well for himself, and he has been. He came in one of the worst. I know Chuck really well. He came up in one of the, stereotypically worst environments possible. And this guy is doing really well for himself, and he always has. Maybe that's a credit to his mom. I don't know, but he did not let it hold him down. We all worked in the same environment, all three of us, and we have been in situations where you walk in and talk to somebody, and they could give. I'm gonna drop an F-bomb. They could give a fuck less what your color is, what your gender is. They can tell in the first minute of you talking whether you are an asset to them or whether you're a liability. It does not matter. Believe me, it does not matter your gender, your race, your creed, your religion. They don't give a fuck. Can you perform or not? And in my opinion, that's how the world should be, man. That's how the world should be. But you know what? Whatever. Not everything can be perfect. I get it. What's scaring me, I'm going to kick it to Roger. What's scaring me right now is the New York Times and Wall Street Journal had a good Wall Street Journal had a good, snapback, clapback piece on this. But the New York Times was talking about a reality czar. And Josh is always posting. Josh must post like maybe once every 2 weeks about how, the book 1984 by George Orwell is a work of fiction. It's not an instructional guide. And now you got the New York Times, the old gray lady, that everyone in Washington looks at, calling for a reality czar. And a reality czar, basically, if you've read 1984, it's the Ministry of Truth, is what it is. And basically, the reality czar is going to be an offshoot of the executive branch, much like John Kerry is the environmental czar, where it's like whatever John Kerry says is what's good for the environment, whether he takes a plane to accept his award in Iceland or not. So the reality czar, the Ministry of Truth, will tell you what's real or not. And the American public should listen to this person, whoever is appointed as the reality czar, to tell us what's real and what's not. Well, I see stuff like this coming out of the New York Times, which people in Washington listen to. And your average American who thinks that they're very smart, a lot of people I work with, read that and like, you know what, that's a good idea. That's a really good idea. And that is scary to me. It really, really is scary. Now, Roger, I'm putting you on the spot. I don't know if you saw the news on this or anything, but I'd like to get your thoughts on the reality czar and what that means going forward in context of the times we live in right now, and I'm going to keep talking, wherein we're talking about, extending, background checks for security clearances and things like that, and going into, hey, if you've ever had a frog on your, social media, maybe you shouldn't have a security clearance. What do you think about the realities?
So I think the realities are dog shit. I mean, I actually wrote this down because I was going to talk about it earlier. I read an article. I don't know if it was something Josh may have posted. It was either Josh or one of my other buddies posted it, and then right below it had fact check. And so I was like, let me read this because it had, Facebook does that now. They're little, hey, this is misleading information. So, I remember what it was. It was in relation to the Marjorie Taylor Greene and statements that she had made. And I'd actually done several posts on this because we know what Maxine Waters has said, and Tlaib and several other prominent politicians. And so somebody created a meme on this thing and said, well, hey, these folks did this. Even Pelosi, they're like, these folks made these comments and statements. Why aren't they being censured or being taken off committees or this and that? And below that had the PolitiFact, whatever Facebook thing it was, his fact check said false. Or claimed it as misinformation. This is why. And I read it, and I'm like, I don't know. I didn't dive deep enough into it to find out who actually did the fact checking or how they interpret that. But they were wrong. I mean, they were wrong. I know they were wrong because when I had posted that a couple days earlier, I had gone back to read the entire transcript. So I get it. People, you can take a sentence. You can do that with this show. You can take a sentence and just pull that one sentence out. Oh, look, Josh, he's a racist. He says he's a racist. Well, yeah, you didn't take the context of the entire conversation. So I understand that aspect of it. So I pull the transcripts of these things. I find them online. I go through and I read the whole thing. And it's like, when you look at what Maxine Waters said, right, about, getting their face, there was no doubt that was inciting violence. Okay. That is telling people that if you see politicians out there that are with the GOP or with Trump, that you need to get in their face, interrupt their dinner, and make them so uncomfortable that they have to leave. That is a fact. That is the way that is. The same thing with Pelosi, and the same thing with a lot of these other folks that have made very similar statements. So my problem with this realities are, well, one, the realities are should be the president in theory. But my problem with the realities are, it's like they're no better. I mean, just the regular fact checking that I read, they're no better because even their interpretations are skewed to fit the narrative of mainstream media. Period. It was like today when I watched, something about Marjorie Taylor Greene, MTG. She came out and she gave a speech. And I don't know if any one of you guys caught it or not. She came out and did a press conference, and fantastic. Came out, something that you don't see a whole lot of politicians do, where she was like, hey, yep, I made these statements before I got into Congress. They were wrong. Some of them were conspiracy theories. I was dumb. Shouldn't have made these statements. Shouldn't have believed that way. I've grown. I've learned, yada, yada, yada. It is what it is. But guess what? Based off of that knowledge being out there, she was still elected to Congress. So before she came in Congress, and then Congress took a vote to remove her from two committees, the Education and the Labor Budget Committees, based on statements that she had made prior to her being elected as a congressperson. That I'm assuming that because especially with the way politics are nowadays, I'm assuming that the public knew about it, that the voters knew about those comments, because I'm sure the other side of the aisle dug it up and threw it out there. So this is something that's already been out there. So this goes to my, maybe this is like a First Amendment thing, because people often get confused on what the First Amendment is, right? As far as like freedom of speech. And freedom of speech doesn't apply generally to private companies. Freedom of speech talks about the government's restriction on speech. So then it makes me wonder, it's like, I mean, I don't know, Josh, isn't that like a First Amendment violation if the government takes her off committees because of things that she may have said, whether they're factual or not? Because they're getting to the point where they're like, hey, you just can't say anything that's incorrect. Well, one, that's the whole point of freedom of speech, is that I can say whatever I want unless it causes harm to somebody else or something like that. But the bigger question at the end of the day is, well, who's determining what's correct? And all it is, it's spoon feeding. Going back to Luke's thing, and yes, my question to you, Josh, was rhetorical. So don't kick me in the balls in this. don't kick me in the balls to it. But
so I posted the article where they removed, the House voted to remove Marjorie Taylor Greene off of her. I think she was on two committees, and so okay, and it was along partisan lines, right? So it was Republicans and Democrats opposed. But
11 Republicans voted to kick her off.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you always have some outliers.
Yeah.
So here's my thing with it, right?
11.
Okay, so here's a couple of things that Marjorie Taylor Greene has said, because I think that's important. You talk about context and stuff. Okay, I do not believe that the wildfires in California were started by Jewish space lasers. Right? I don't believe that. Marjorie Taylor Greene said that. But again, right, so this is all prior to her coming in public office. This is all prior to her being elected to office. Okay. I am not aware. However, I'm not read on to every classified government project. I'm not aware of any Jewish space lasers. Let's go ahead and put that out right now. Maybe they do exist. I don't know. I'm just saying I don't know.
If they did, Iran probably would not be a threat right now. So I'm going with you on that.
So it's been speculated. I have not seen any evidence of this, but it's been speculated that Marjorie Taylor Greene also, has commented about 9/11 being an inside job. Okay. Well, those two right there alone. One, I don't know of any Jewish space lasers, and if you go back to what was that, episode 4 or 5, conspiracy theory,
yeah,
right, and I said it then, and I'll say it now, and I'll take it to my grave. If you think that 9/11 was an inside job, you're an idiot, and I just automatically will not listen to anything you have to say after that. All right, but that's not the issue. Again, like you said, freedom of speech. That's not the issue. The issue is that for the last 5 years now, you had a number of Democrats that pushed this Russian collusion conspiracy theory, right? $40 million, hundreds of FBI agents, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of interviews, which uncovered falsified FISA warrants. It uncovered so many truths. James Clapper, right? So Jim Clapper, prior to going under oath, was on, anybody that would listen to him talking about how he's seen the evidence there was collusion. Trump colluded with Russia to win the 2016 election. Under oath, Jim Clapper testified, I do not know, I am not aware of any evidence of the Trump campaign colluding with Russia in the 2016 election. You have Adam Schiff, the chairman of the House Intelligence Committee, who said, I have seen the evidence. It exists. Trump colluded with Russia. Undermining a sitting U.S. president. Are they getting removed from their committees for spreading conspiracy theories?
Of course not.
Are they? Of course not. And that is incredibly dangerous. So you have this group of individuals who spread this conspiracy theory for 4 years, tore the country apart. There were people who were, diehard Republicans, and they were great Americans, man. But as soon as they heard Russia, it was, hey, they're like us. They watched Red Dawn, when they were kids in the 80s too, and they were like, fuck Russia. Yo, that dude colluded with Russia? I'm done with him, right? Why are they not getting voted off their committees? If that's where we're at, and we have a truth czar and everything, if the media would do their damn job like they're supposed to, we wouldn't need a truth czar. We wouldn't need a truth committee or whatever. Just the media, do your damn job. Just tell me what happened. I'll decide what I think about it. I just need you to tell me what happened. And you don't need that. But this is incredibly dangerous to, for a political party to start removing folks from their committee assignments. Now what's next? Everybody knows the cancel culture. They're going to shut you down. Everybody knows about it. So what's next? Who is next? What and who is next on this? And we're in incredibly dangerous waters right now. Oh, you said something that's not true. You're right. So they're putting forward. It's Murphy out of Florida, a Democrat, who is proposing the amendments and kind of adding to the security clearance process for government employees. Oh, if you spread information that's not factual about the United States government, that should bar you from getting a security clearance. Oh, really? Okay. So, if I say Trump didn't collude with Russia, I don't believe it. I shouldn't get a security clearance, even though it comes out later that guess what? I was speaking the truth. That was a fact. But he's incredibly dangerous, man. Incredibly dangerous. And I'll say it again. George Orwell, 1984. It was a fucking warning. It's not a how-to guide, people. It's not a how-to guide. It's dangerous times.
And if you listen to Josh and Roger, if you're a guy like me, it's like this security clearance process, man. You really got to watch your step. Because if you listen to Roger, man, well, I'm not saying if you listen to Roger. That makes me sound like I'm demeaning him. He's right. He's right. Well, I am a little bit, but I'm demeaning the whole system because it's like, well, you can't own Bitcoin and expect to, have your security clearance go through, with no problem at all. It's like I'm looking through like the actual regs. I'm like, where the fuck does it say that? Oh, well, it's a thing that the people, the adjudicators, they'll look at it because it's like foreign holdings. Okay. Don't own Bitcoin. All right. I can't own any ETFs that own Bitcoin either because I'll have a hard time getting my clearance. Oh, okay. I won't do that. Okay. I can't own any stock in a company that is, has anything to do with cultivating cannabis. What cannabis is legal? No. It's illegal at the federal level. Okay. I won't own that stock. All I'm saying is, boy, these clearance stuff, it can hem you up real fast. And Josh knows he not from personal experience, but from some experiences that other colleagues have had. I mean, this stuff can hem you up real fast. So it's like, I get all Joker with it, man. I get all like the Dark Knight Joker with it. It's like, man, I get the flashbacks, the Agent Orange. It's like, bitch, you know what I've done for this country? You know what I've done? Basically ruined my life, for years, as you guys have too, because they told me it was the right thing to do, and all this stuff, and we did this, and now you're questioning whether I own Bitcoin or fucking some stock that is developing some seed for cannabis. Man, fuck you. That's how I feel right now. So the security clearance thing, Josh, I want to back you up on that, man. It's a slippery slope.
Well, let me ask you this though: on the security clearance, does it make a difference? Because here's half of me. Like, I could really give a shit about the security clearance piece because it's not that I don't care, but it's a government issued security clearance to work for the government or on government projects. So from that aspect, I'm like, government do whatever the hell they want to do. Do I agree with it? No, but I don't really care. When it comes into my private life and commercial workings, then I have an issue with that. But if it's for a government job and it's a government issued clearance, they can make whatever requirements they want.
Well, they can, but I mean, they can do what they want. I get it, but I think we're losing track of what is a security clearance? Why have it? It's whether you're a risk to national security or not. Basically, whether you're going to hand over secrets to the enemy, whether they have sway over you or not. And I personally, and maybe this isn't addressing your question, Roger, Bitcoin, I understand. We can go down that rabbit hole, and maybe that could have some sway. Maybe that could have some financial, stuff. But if you just own stock in a cannabis company that, is publicly traded legally, how does anybody hold any sway over you? How is that a question of your loyalty or your character? I don't know.
And I agree with you 100% on that. If it's listed on the New York Stock Exchange, if it's listed on Wall Street, Amex, NASDAQ, or whatever, you should be able to own it. You should be able to own it. You should be able to trade it, right? Okay. I totally agree with you.
Okay, so Josh is getting worked up, so let's kick it to Josh, and then I got something after Josh melts your face. Kick it back to me because I was gonna go ahead.
All right, so I'm gonna take a deep breath. Okay, because that gets me fired up, right? like you said, we have literally, in a sense, like we've ruined our lives. We have literally risked our lives day in and day out. We have traveled to some of the most inhospitable places on earth. And, we have lost time with our family. We have done everything. And I did it voluntarily, and that's fine. But to turn around and spit in my face and say, well, you can't own this because I don't trust you. I don't trust you. Hey, motherfucker, I got a wall back here. It's got some shit on it. Say, guess what? You can trust me. Okay? You can trust me. I've been there. I got a couple of t-shirts. You can trust me. That, ooh,
Hey,
God.
he's got the Army service ribbon. You can trust his ass. And he's got the National Defense Service Medal with the Bronze Star.
That's right, with the
What?
Bronze Star. Yeah.
Yeah, Luke, you didn't get the Bronze Star. We got the Bronze Star. Yeah, I don't think you got the Bronze Star, did you?
For what?
Was that after
Wait,
Luke?
The National Defense Service ribbon. Yeah, no. Luke should have got it because he should have got one when he came in, and then he was in during OIF and.
Oh shit! I gotta get some more bling, bros.
Bling. That really fires me up though. It's, man, especially after what we done. Don't question my loyalty to my country. Don't do it, because that will. All right, I'm gonna mute my shit.
But there's a difference, right? There's a difference between, and this goes back to the breaching of Capitol Hill. There's a difference between being loyal to your country, being loyal to the Constitution of the United States, and being loyal to a politician. I owe no loyalty to a politician. Okay, my loyalty is to the country. My loyalty is to the fundamentals that are listed in the Constitution of the United States. That is my loyalty.
Ooh, we could go down the rabbit hole on this one, because at what point does that stop? But I'm not going to. I got
a more important question. I got a more important question for you, Luke. Is Parler's dead?
Yes.
Parler's dead. Parler's gone.
It's dead to me.
Well, they fired the CEO. Who I think he was the guy who actually created it. Parler's dead. So, man, I tell you what, things just change. It's like Josh always says, life comes at you fast. It's so like big tech censorship. So are we done with that now? I mean, everybody's just kind of moved on and gone back to whatever, right?
See, I want to go down I want to talk about something else, but you guys
go ahead, talk about whatever you want to. It's your show.
Are paint me into a corner.
Good
here.
day and welcome to Luke's segment of Culper's Canteen
Cup. It's Luke's Canteen Cup now. So big tech censorship. So Parler, I don't know where they went wrong. I think they were gambling, is what I think. I think that Parler was gambling that Trump would throw his support behind them. That didn't happen. It's not going to happen, and they're dead. They are dead. And we can talk about whose fault that was and everything. I think they could have probably made some good moves. I mean, they could have made some good moves. I don't know why they didn't. But yeah, when I saw they fired that dude, I'm like, okay, it's over. It's over.
I mean, they could have just kept doing what they were doing. They were growing. The problem was their backside, their resources and the back end sucked ass, and they weren't fixing it. That was the problem.
I'll tell you what disappoints me is like Gab, right? And Josh still can't get up on Gab because his internet sucks so bad. I don't know what the deal is. But there for, I don't know, a 10-day window, it seemed to be improving. And now that I'm on it more, I see it's not improving. They're not sinking capital into this to make it better. And it's like, why are you doing this? I mean, do you want to grow or do you not? And because I you know what? I'm nearly done with Facebook, man. I'm about to start a project where I'm going to save all the photos that I've taken that are worth a shit on Facebook and just get off of it. I mean, I use it for the AJ Todd thing, to promote. But like I said, I don't know if I'd said this in the podcast, the money I've sunk into advertising on Facebook, I have not made that back in sales. Yes, granted, there is a small spike in sales when I advertise, but it's not. It doesn't make up for the amount I spent. So it's like, but on the other hand, if I sunk $50 million, let's say I split it up, I spent $25 million on Facebook advertising and $25 million on Amazon advertising, my book would be a bestseller. Period. It would be. Would I make back the $50 million? Probably not. But it would be a bestseller. So I can move on from there. I mean, you pay to play in this environment. And, dude, I don't even remember what we were talking about at this point. Facebook censorship, all this stuff. I think it's going to get worse. There are some progressive voices on Twitter right now that are being deplatformed because they're not going along with the party line. They criticize Joe Biden. There's one guy in particular, I don't have his name right in front of me, who got deplatformed on YouTube 2 days ago. I know that because I listened to Tim Pool. And it's not going to stop, man. This stuff is going to snap back, clap back, whatever, on the people who are pushing it. Seriously. I mean, the people that can't, truly useful it is. Truly. Now, I want to talk about something else. I don't know where we are on time.
We're good.
But I have it pulled up. And this is a point where I'm going to ask, especially Jed. Jed, are you listening? Jed's the one that asked for 2 episodes a week, 2 or more. So Jed, before we even consider that, Jed, it's a big lift. It's a heavy lift. You're going to have to go to the Culper's Canteen Cup Facebook page and give us a review. Do you recommend it or do you not? Because we have one so far, one person who has gone to this portion of the Facebook page, recommend this business or not. And this this one guy,
he said
so
no.
his name, his supposed name is David Snyder. And David Snyder does not recommend Culper's Canteen Cup to the Facebook community. And David Snyder says, as a Republican, I find media outlets such as this as the reason Democrats won the majority of the House, Senate, and presidency. They promote far-right conspiracy theories and refuse to denounce white supremacists, rebel flags, swastika, and Nazism. Not a good place to get information. Now, Josh, in response to that, because I probably would have lost my shit. I would have lost my shit if I saw that before Josh. But Josh, bless his heart, he replied, David, glad you took time to give us your thoughts, as off base as they are. We're more than happy to have you on the show to discuss your comments face to face. Let us know if you're interested. And I thought, since Josh invited him on the show, and that might have been Roger, but I think it was Josh. No, it was Josh. I was like, that's the end of it. He's not going to respond. So I commented as Luke J. I commented, he called us a media outlet. That's a promotion. And then it just went down the rabbit hole. And David, quote unquote, David said, Luke, don't get the big head. My email and Facebook can be considered a media outlet. Use Webster's and educate. A very hostile atmosphere, and the staff are trolls on the internet. Oh, that's where I was like, okay, who is this guy? So I click on this guy, David Snyder, and I start looking at his friends list, and it's very odd. It's very odd. And I'm going to let Roger expound on that. It's very odd, this David Snyder guy. I'm telling you, if you look at our listeners in India, especially India, and look at China, I'm telling you, this was a legit, real troll. Somebody paid this dude. This guy is on somebody's payroll to troll our shit and do that. And I think that's a big win for us. What do you think?
Yeah, because I mean, it's actually an established profile, but it's not a fully established. It's established just enough, that first, second, third layers of the onion. Because I think he's got 500 some odd friends or something like that on there. So, most people, when they create these fake accounts, you friend 20 people and it's a couple public figures and it's all stupid. And he's got the friends. So on the surface, when you take a look at it, it's you're like, okay, this thing appears to be legit. So it's either one, somebody who trolls as a serious hobby, like that's what they do, or two, somebody that's possibly paid by somebody on the left to go out there and troll some of these accounts. To either dig up dirt, to get somebody riled up, to get people to say things they don't want to say. But I think I think where his mistake was trolling us. One, I mean, it was pretty clear from his first post right there. Because I think we're not rude, but I don't think we hold back. I mean, we're pretty direct. Well, Josh is a little rude. I actually, my morning. Okay, I wake up in the morning, I get my cup of citrus juice and I drink it, and the first thing I do is I open up my Facebook because I know Josh is going to have about 8 or 9 posts on like mainstream media pages, and it just goes downhill from there, man. He posts one thing on there. The next thing you know, it'll be extremely controversial. And the next thing you know, we're down the rabbit hole. So I think this guy really does have he might actually be paid to do this stuff, to be a troll. But again, he went and trolled us, and I think we hit back pretty hard because that's part of what this cancel culture. That's part of the fallout is everybody is so scared to be canceled that they immediately capitulate, right? It's I'm sorry, I didn't mean this, and we're more the hey, you can go fuck yourself. I think was it Luke was like, hey, you didn't hear the episode 18 of Three Kings, right? Clearly you didn't. Where we bring on what's his face with his adopted kids from Africa. It's like you clearly didn't hear any of that stuff. So I think a lot of times what happens is, and I'm not saying he ran off like a scared little bitch, which he probably did, but it's just like the other 2 people we were talking about earlier that won't come on the show. They sit there and they expect that when they call you out on it because you're a bigot and you're a racist and you're a white supremacist, that you're immediately going to go into this defense posture. Oh, no, I'm not. And you're going to sit there and just like, no, you can't think of me this way. And we're kind of like, no, you can actually go fuck yourself. And we hit back. And then they say, oh, that's it. I'm going to go look for a softer target. Right. So I think that's what happens with a lot of these folks out there. And I would tell you this, I live by this. For our listeners out there, and you get in these heated debates and stuff, which again, I think is good for the family. I think when you get into politics and when you talk about what's going on in the world, I think it's good for the family. I think it's great to bring to the dinner table. My family, I hope they're ready when they come over for Thanksgiving this year, because it's on. Because you need to bring this stuff up. You need to argue this stuff. Right? That's how you educate folks. And that's how you become educated, by hearing the other side. And maybe you pick up a couple things. It's like, wow, you know what? I never thought about that. It happens all the time, believe it or not, when I talk to Luke or Josh. It's like the whole Section 230 thing. I mean, I knew nothing about any of that. And it was very hard for me to formulate my opinion and have it based on anything until he was like, well, hey, here's, obviously because of the books, here's Section 230. This is what it does. And I was like, you know what? Maybe I need to look into that. So it's, I do believe it's like you have to have those arguments. But I stick to this, that any of our listeners out there, as you get into these heated debates and you find that progressive liberal that's like whacked out, just listen to the science, man. Hey, you know what? We've got a direct tie into a podcast. You want to go on there and we'll treat them respectfully, right? I mean, I don't think we would bring them on here just like totally sandbag them and dog them out. I think we do like the Lincoln Douglas style debate where it's okay. Hey, look, here's the 2 topics that we're going to cover. And I think we work all this stuff out ahead of time. Here are the 2 topics that we're going to cover. And we're not going to sit here and do like, what's his face? What was his name? Off of Newsmax with Mike Lindell, I think is Bob Sellers. We're not going to pull a Bob Sellers, right? And try to mute your stuff. And then and then of course the blonde haired lady's just sitting there like, okay, what the fuck just happened? So that's not us. That's not how we're going to do things. We'd bring this individual on and we'd have the debate with him because I would want to hear it. It goes back to the whole conversation that we brought up earlier with the transgenders. It's like, hey, I actually want to know. I'm curious because you could possibly change my mind on how I see some of these things. Not that I ever think that, believe that they should be allowed in sports, but there's some other social issues that you're like, hey, you know what? Now you're talking about some medical and some science related issues that could impact these individuals in a part of society, whatever. But anyway, you guys both saw the Newsmax interview with Mike Lindell? So is Newsmax dead now? Are they done?
With me, they are. It's just here's the thing with that though. Any media outlet that has somebody on and tries to engage in a conversation, and then when that conversation doesn't go how they had scripted in their head, or that conversation doesn't follow their script and it goes sideways a little bit and they shut that person down, they're dead. They're pretty much dead to me. Mike Lindell, do I agree with everything he says? No. But at the end of the day, he has a right to be heard. He wasn't saying anything super crazy. So listen to the guy. Dude, growing up, growing up, my parents always told me, you don't talk about politics and religion, right? And talking to a lot of folks, they were, that was the thing. It was like, whoa, man, you just don't talk about politics and religion. What should have been said is, here's how to have a civil conversation about politics and religion, because you look at the where that divide is in America, and you look at where that polarization is. It's in politics and religion, because you have generation, probably 2 generations, right? Because my grandparents probably told them the same thing. You don't talk about politics and religion. And so, when David showed up, and David's, was like, oh, this is a terrible place to get news, and, shit like that. I was like, okay. I was like, wow. It was kind of like, Luke, like, hey, you gave us a lot of credit. Thinking like, this is a terrible place for people to get their news. And it was like, they don't denounce, Nazism and you're racist, all that stuff. It was like, you know what, man? Go fuck yourself. Sorry, and my dad. You can go kick rocks, because at the end of the day, if you listen to us, you have probably already inferred that we absolutely do not condone any of that, right? But I'm not gonna say it just to satiate your need for, well, I know we just met 30 seconds ago, but I'm going to need you to denounce, these things before we can have further dialogue. That's ridiculous. That's not how this works. It's not how any of this works. And, the whole David thing, and I responded back to him. I channel, and Luke's like, I can't believe, Josh, like, actually responded back to him. People say I'm always the asshole and I'm always the abrasive one. I try to respond back, because I was like, my initial response was pretty much go F yourself. But I was like, no, hold on. Nope. We're trying to get people on the podcast. We're trying to bring people on. And so it was like, what would Luke or Roger do? Luke or Roger would be like, okay, hey, man, come on. Hey, you want to discuss it? Come on in. Like Roger said, anybody out there who listens to us, who disagrees with us, and it's 100% fine. We would more than appreciate you coming on the podcast and having that dialogue. Because again, that's how we learn. Maybe we can bring up a point that you hadn't thought of. Maybe that you can bring up a point that we haven't thought of. And I'm absolutely open to having my mind changed on most things. There's some things where I'm just not going to have my mind changed, and I'll be, and it's fine. You can call me whatever, for that. But we're not going to bring anybody on, and we're not going to call you a stupid MF or anything like that. Well, we are open and willing to have civil discourse, with people with opposing viewpoints. But the problem is that the majority of people that we disagree with, they're not willing to have that civil discourse. And you guys see some of the people on my Facebook page who adamantly and vehemently disagree with me. And it's like, hey, man, come on the podcast. And they're like, oh, no, it's just be a waste of my time. And, whatever. And it's like, nah, man, like, put your money where your mouth is and come on and have a chat with us. It's like, Roger, it's like Roger's friend Bonnie, who has a deep-seated hatred for Luke, okay, come on the podcast. And, it's like, oh, I'm not coming on your podcast. You just gang up on me and grr. Right? It's like, no, we'll have a civil conversation. And it's like, no, it's just, it's like, because we would have that Lincoln Douglas style debate, and we would get past that wave top talking point that they have. And after that, it's just an empty suit, because that's what the majority of the people are on the left. And I would even say some on the right. Once you get that past that 240 character limit, that's all they got. They're done. They're an empty, it's just an empty suit after that. So I'm going to throw it over to, there you go, Luke. Jump in. You got it.
Up. Yeah, I get you worked up. You get me worked up. That's just how it is. I finally texted Josh today, and I think we might have covered this in another episode a few episodes ago. I'm always defending the American people. I am always defending. You know what? Maybe the American people are just asleep. Maybe the American people are just soft. And Josh is like, no, the majority of Americans are peas. P's, as in, wussies. We'll say wussies. How about that? We'll use the word wussies. The majority of the American people are wussies. So I was going to bring up 3D printing, but since we still have 25 minutes left, let's bring this up. So this is where I decided, I think okay, where do I start dissecting this? All right. So Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, as some people are calling her, Alexandria Ocasio-Smollett, made a big deal out of her being so scared and all this stuff when the Capitol riots were going on. And I'm trying to read what Josh said. I can't do two things at one time like Josh and Roger can. I can't speak and read at the same time. I've learned that about myself. I can speak and dip. I can speak and chew gum. I can speak and drink, but I can't speak and read. Josh and Roger have me beat on that. So AOC made a big Instagram post about how she was so afraid, and the Capitol police officer was very intimidating. And I was trying to explain to my wife. I was trying to explain to her, if you are ever in a hostage situation, and we learn this at the numerous courses we go through, these people who come to rescue you, who come to bring you out of these hostage situations, their mission is to bring you back alive. Their mission is not to bring you back alive with all bones intact. Their mission is to bring you back alive. And if you are unconscious when they pick you up, that's probably better. If they have to break your bones to bring you back alive, that is what they will do. Their mission is to bring you out. And AOC was all upset because the Capitol Police officer who supposedly came in and said, "Where is she? Get her out of here. We got to go," didn't identify himself and was being very harsh with her. And she was making this big deal out of an appeal to emotion. And she's got 4 to 6 million followers. People are listening to that going, "Oh, yeah, they should have been more sensitive to your needs when they were trying to rescue you from the Capitol rioters." That was step number one to me saying most Americans are wussies. Okay? You AOC, don't ever come at me saying you're from New York and you're from the heart, you're from the mean streets, and you're a tough girl and all this stuff. You're not. You're not. If that's how you reacted, if you were truly panicked, this reminded me when I was sexually assaulted. Really? Really? This person was trying to save your life. First of all, I don't believe that bullshit. I don't believe it. I don't. And the reason I don't believe it is because she was freaking lying. This woman, AOC, for whatever reason, she thought it would be a good idea when she was detailing her story to give timestamps, verbal timestamps on what time it happened and when. And the fact is, I'm not going to go into it. I'm not going to dissect it like Tim Pool did. I should maybe, because Tim Pool makes a lot more money than we do. But I'm not going to dissect it like he did. But basically, she's lying. She's freaking lying. That shit did not happen how she said it did. It's an appeal to emotion. It's propaganda. It's to kick the can. It's propaganda. Straight up, no nonsense. I don't know if Roger saw it. I'm sure Roger didn't watch the whole Instagram video.
Nope.
But I've seen the transcripts. I've seen what time she said this stuff happened. She was not in the same building. And when she said in her verbal timestamp videos that this stuff went down, they hadn't even gone into the Capitol main building yet. So how did she know? She's lying. She's lying. It pisses me off. She did it because she knew the majority of Americans, like Josh says, are wussies, appeal to emotion. I'm done. I'm done with AOC. MTG, Josh was talking about her earlier. Green, You know what? What she did isn't any different. So the stuff she said isn't any different than the misleading shit that AOC was saying. I'm telling you, these people are liars. They're not leaders. They're your representatives, and that's fine. If they want to lie, observe what they do and vote them out. If MTG is crazy, vote her out next time. AOC is going to lie to you and try to manipulate you. Vote her out next time. Okay, I've gone off. Roger's already taken notes, and he's getting
No, I mean that's the whole point of the realities.
I've gone off too much.
No, that's the whole point of the realities are, right? Because what the realities are, they can say, well, this is a government appointed individual, so they won't lie. And they know that most people are too lazy to actually go do any due diligence on their own. And so they'll just spoon feed them the information. Why look it up? Why look it up when I can just have somebody spoon feed? Oh, they said it's the truth. They said it's the truth. Because now you're finding out, and, God bless, the police officer's family. But the initially, I think we even said it, that the one police officer that died, looked like he was bludgeoned to death with a fire extinguisher. Well, I don't know if you guys hear this morning that the medical examiner's report said, no, that didn't happen. He didn't die of blunt force trauma. I have to shoot you the link. So he didn't die of blunt force trauma. And what they're trying to figure out is it looks like, or I guess they're speculating that he may have actually asphyxiated, or somebody sprayed some pepper spray and there was some reaction going on. I didn't read the whole thing. I read like the first couple paragraphs or whatever, but that's the whole point of the realities are. And the Democrats are great at playing this game because it goes all the way back to what and I hate, to fucking keep giving Luke credit for this stuff, but it's the you're a racist. That's all you got to say, because that's what the people are going to hear up front. And that's what's going to make the headlines, and that's what's going to make the news. And then everything that you have to do to go disprove that and this, it all gets lost in the wash. And so that's what AOC does, right? Because what's happening is she comes out with her Instagram video, and I caught bits and pieces of it on news or whatever. And it's, it was probably watched like 100 million times, right? So everybody sees that. But then how many people go with the follow-up that was like, oh, yeah, she was actually in the Cannon building when this happened, right? A small percentage of that, maybe 10%, maybe. Well, you probably get a lot of the folks that watch Fox News, so you might get 30 or 40% on that. But they know that it's come out, strike first, throw the lie out there, or just throw the statement. It doesn't matter if it's a lie, if it's the truth or whatever, because it just becomes the truth. And then either one, everything else, the actual facts would just get washed out over the next couple of weeks. I mean, that was the whole thing with the Russian collusion and Donald Trump. They just come right out. Hey, he's an agent of Russia. Boom. And then he has to spend the next 4 years proving that he's not. And we don't even, we won't even go down the road again of you talk about all the money, and you talk about the inaccuracies or inconsistencies on the FISA applications, this and that. We didn't go down that road. But that's the whole point, is you spend so much time and effort having to defend yourself that it just gets washed out. And the Democrats know that. The Democrats know that. They've been using that playbook for the last 4 years, and it's been successful. What I hope happens after all this is that the Republicans observe this and remember it when it comes back around. And I don't say this, as far as to be mean-spirited or to do it in spite of them or whatever, but there's this, in foreign policy, they call it the mirror image fallacy. Well, we're going to do this, and if we do this, this is how we would react if it was done to us, so this other country is going to react this way. Right. So they call it the mirror image fallacy. And I think in politics, you see a lot of that, where Republicans generally are like, hey, you know what? We're going to try to make this bipartisan. We're going to do this. We're going to do this the right way. We're going to reach across the aisle, because they'll appreciate it, and they'll appreciate it so much that when they're in power, that they'll do the same thing for us. Guess what? That ain't happening. That ain't happening. We saw it during Obamacare. We're seeing it with the executive orders now. We're seeing it with the stuff that's going through right now. They're going to ram it down your throats. Period. They know that. The Dems know that, hey, we've probably got about 2 years where we control all branches, right? Because I think historically, at least recent history, it does tend to pop back and forth. We've got about 2 years where we're going to control all branches. So we need to ram everything through that we can right now, because eventually it'll pop smoke over the Republicans. And guess what? The Republicans are too damn weak or too damn stupid to realize that. I mean, it's like when we finally had it with Trump. Why didn't we fix or get rid of and replace or whatever Obamacare? It's like you had 8 years to do this. 8 years, right? I mean, that stuff should have been on the desk, ready to go. But they're just too dumb. They don't get the bigger picture. And I think I'll throw it out to Josh to give his thoughts on this stuff. But it just, I think across the political spectrum, the left, everybody's moving farther to the left. And I think that's part of the problem. The left is moving farther to the left and becoming more and more progressive. But instead of the right moving farther to the right is also moving farther to the left. And I think that's part of the problem. When we talk about that rubber band effect, that you'll pull it to the left, you'll pull it to the right, and eventually it'll snap back to the middle. Well, the problem is when it all gets pulled to the left. There is no more right anymore. So with that, I'll kick it to Josh before we go around with our final thoughts.
Yeah. So a lot to unpack there, because Luke made a couple comments, right, that I've made before about the majority of Americans. And I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going to toot my own horn for about 3 seconds here. I'm 100% right. The majority of Americans are weak. They're wussies. They're not willing. They can't stomach confrontation. They can't stomach anything. And that's just what it is. That's been the story of our country since the revolution. You go back and look what was the percentage of colonists who were actual patriots, vice Tories? I would tell you that right there. And it has been that way for a very, very long time. I think you had a different percentage, when we all had a common enemy, during the Cold War. There was a lot of patriotism. You still had folks like John Brennan who, were communists and voted for Communist Party candidates. But the majority of Americans, they saw Red Dawn, the original one, not the shitty remake. They saw the original with Patrick Swayze and Charlie Sheen, right? And everybody was, everybody had a united front against the Big Red Horde. Everybody was worried about the Big Red Horde coming through the Fulda Gap. You don't have that anymore. So, but to your point about, everything's moving left, the two most powerful people in Congress right now, and Roger, you mentioned one of them earlier, Sinema, the other one being Joe Manchin from West Virginia. Those are the two most powerful people in Congress right now, because Joe Manchin's always been, and he is a Democrat, but he is a moderate Democrat, right? He is one of those Kennedy Clinton Democrats. And I hate to compare Kennedy to Bill Clinton, but again, Bill Clinton wasn't an extremist. He wasn't a far left guy.
You got a cigar?
Right. That was a good impression. But you look at Joe Manchin, but you look at what the left is doing to Joe Manchin right now. So there's a super PAC called the No Excuses PAC, and this obviously is progressive. They are actively campaigning right now and actively looking for someone to oppose Joe Manchin on the Democratic ticket in West Virginia next election cycle, when he comes up for re-election, right? So you have these moderates, and I'm not going to call Sinema moderate just yet. She's had some moderate comments, but Sinema's not a moderate. I'm not willing to go there with her yet. Joe Manchin's a moderate, right? He is the one Democrat that always, like, even when the Republicans control Congress, it was always like, well, all right, well, what's Joe Manchin going to do? He was a name that's really come up a lot over the last 4 years, especially with the Supreme Court nominations. Which way is Joe Manchin going to go? So I'll call him moderate. Even his own party is looking to oust him. they are looking to get him out to install a more progressive candidate, and it's continuing to go more and more left. And I don't know when it's going to snap back. I don't know that 2022 is going to be the snapback, the clapback, or whatever for the left. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. I do know that a lot of the executive orders that Biden has signed, especially with the Keystone Pipeline, which you've already discussed and everything, there are some unions that are not happy about that. So I think that's TBD on how that's going to go with them. But the problem with the Republicans, I'm telling you, Republicans need to get their head out of their ass. People like Mitch McConnell. I dislike Mitch McConnell. I hate Mitch McConnell. I've always hated Mitch McConnell. Mitch McConnell needs to go. A lot of these Republicans need to go. When they initially, I think it was Luke maybe that posted, or somebody posted the whole, Biden and Kamala sat down with Republicans to talk about the stimulus deal, and it was Romney and Collins. I was like, they didn't sit down with Republicans. They sat down with rhinos. Right? They're not. Mitt Romney is not. Anybody who calls a Republican is absolutely, completely mentally insane. Right? Mitt Romney is not a Republican. So, the Republican Party has, you say you have 2 years. You really have about 18 months. You have the first 100 days in office. You have about 18 months. And after that, you really don't have time to really get anything through, to ram it down our throats. Like you have a very, very limited amount of time. So we saw today the first tiebreaker with the stimulus package. First tiebreaker where the VP got to sit in and break that 50-50 tie. I don't agree with it. I think at some point we have to stop spending money. If you spend more than you take in, if anybody who's passed first grade math, you spend more than you take in, you're always going to be at a deficit. It's not good.
I think Roger missed first grade math.
I think Roger missed it because
he's all about printing money.
Yeah, you can't make.
Doesn't matter.
No, maybe in some people's math, you can just continue to make the money machine go brr. Not in my math, and I believe history is on my side with that. So, who knows? But we saw the first thing, and people were really upset about it and everything, and that's fine. You could be upset about it. I don't agree with it either, but the process, the vice president, there's a 50-50 Senate vote. The vice president is a tiebreaker. At the end of the day, the Constitution is working. Whether I whether I agree with it or not, it didn't go my way. My hometown team didn't win. So, but at the end of the day, it is what it is. Whatever. So, the right is getting pulled further to the left. I don't like it. We've got to get back to the center of it, because we have enough time to recover in my lifetime. I don't want my kids to have to pay the bill for stupid decisions that are made now. Which are being made now, especially with the spending. So I kick it over to Luke, and he can give us our thoughts after I talk for an hour and 45 minutes of our 2-hour show.
So, yeah, I didn't mean to dig at Roger. Just maybe we should do another full episode on the deficit and inflation and stuff like that, so Roger can give his viewpoints to the world, because I'd like to understand them better, because I do worry about this. Roger says we shouldn't worry, but maybe we'll cover that on a future episode. I'd like to revisit one thing. We had that David guy who gave us our first recommendation on Facebook, said he does not recommend. So again, I'm going to call on Jed. I'm going to call on Titus. I'm going to call on, everybody out there, man. Everybody out there who listens faithfully, and we know who you are, man. Just go to the Facebook page, man. Take 2 minutes and recommend the page, and outweigh this Chinese, Ministry of Internal Security Service bot that gave us our first negative review. I mean, come on. You guys got to hook us up, man. Just a positive review. That's all we ask. We really appreciate y'all listening. This was a BS episode, but I think we covered some good ground. I really do.
All
it
politics.
was a bullshit. Yeah, it was all politics. Roger promised. We've tried to start out on the right foot talking about video games. Maybe we'll talk about movies and whiskey next time. Bourbon for Roger and Josh. We really appreciate y'all listening. Thanks for keeping on coming back, listening. Thanks for being faithful. Recommend it to your friends if you think they get a kick out of it. And even if you think they'd be pissed off, definitely
Even better.
recommend them to us.
Even better.
And tell them to come on the show. And, to just one more thing, we'll give everyone a fair shake, man. We'll send the outline beforehand. This is what we're going to talk about. They can prepare. We'll send it a week out. We'll give them a fair shake because we want everyone to hear it. We want it to be a constructive argument on both sides. We want to hear the other side because maybe they'll change our minds. All three of us have changed our minds on a lot of stuff over the past 20 years. So recommend it. Keep listening. We really appreciate it. We can't tell you how much we appreciate it. Thanks to Carlton Zeus also. Hit him up at www.carltonzeus.com or on iTunes. And for those of you hanging around for our freemium content, it's going to start right now.
Man, we
Our
didn't even get
bullshit
to
episodes are the best ones.
Yeah, we didn't even get to Jen Psaki. That chick is a fucking train wreck.
Dude, did you see it? Did you see the press conference today, this afternoon?
So bad.
And they asked about Biden's executive order, and she was like, I don't know about that executive." It was so good.
Yeah, she was like, "Which
So there's
one was that?" Or like yesterday when she like laughed at the Space Force, and it's like, "No,
Yeah.
that actually is a real branch that was created." It's like,
Yeah.
He was like, "Oh, Space
So-
Force. That's the plane of today." It was like, "No, it's
So-
an actual branch of the military."
It's one of two things then. It's one of two things with her. Either, okay, and correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe there's a third thing here. Either she is not preparing, or she's an absolute idiot who's not keeping track. Because I think Harris Faulkner, and I God, Michelle watches Fox News. I can't get her to stop. But so she has it on while she's painting and doing her thing. So I'm listening. And Harris Faulkner said something really interesting as a panel of people. And she said, when the press secretary, and I never thought of this before, I should have, but she said, when the press secretary is the story, the press secretary is not doing their job. And right now, Jen Psaki is becoming the story, which means she's bad at her job. So which is it? Is she either not preparing? Is she either not preparing, or is she just an idiot? Roger's going to say she's an idiot. I think it's a combination of the two.
I thought, hey, maybe both.
they're canvassing the reporters.
Yeah.
I mean, did you hear that? She's canvassing the room before she goes up there.
Yeah, so I saw the thing where they said, we want the reporters to submit their questions beforehand, which not okay for any administration, Democrat or Republican. But I agree with Luke. I think it's a combination of the both, and that's a great point. I've never thought of it like that. Is when the White House press secretary becomes a story, it means they're not doing their job. That's a great way.
That's part of the plan. That's part of the plan, because if she's an idiot, you can't hold her accountable for anything. She's not going to answer any questions about, the fucked up policies that are going on. You don't want her to talk about any of those policies, right? They don't want the news. They don't want the news and the coverage on them, because here's one thing with Donald Trump that, people may not have liked or whatever, but when Donald Trump did something good, you knew about it. He was going to tell the world. Okay. So that tells you right now that, and that's not just him, that's any administration. Any administration is going to try to capitalize and take advantage of anything that they do that is good for mankind, good for the country, good for the people, this and that. So when you shift that focus away from what your administration is doing to the press secretary, that's because you're not doing so well. You don't want to answer those questions, right?
So I listened to Joe Biden last night, and it made me sick to my stomach. I won't even say what he was talking about because it could get me in a little bit of trouble, but it made me sick. It was ridiculous. But as I was listening to him, I tried to separate myself from the content of what he was saying, and listened to, or like watched and listened to his words and everything. And I'll tell you this. I know he's a piece of shit, Josh. I know. But dude was holding it together. I mean, he didn't have any flubs. Not really. He looked down at his notes. He seemed like an old man as usual. And I remember thinking, you know what? I really wouldn't mind if Joe Biden read me a bedtime story, because it really did like kind of relax me, because it was like, he's talking, you know, like an old man, like your granddad telling you a bedtime story. But he is kind of holding it together better than I thought he would.
What's the
as far
eye
as
squint
his
thing?
speeches and stuff so far.
What's the eye squint thing?
I don't.
He's
It must be
because
him
I
trying to
agree with you.
read, right?
Right, for like the last two press conferences or speeches or whatever that I've seen him, because he hasn't answered any questions either. So the last two that I've seen him, he's like got this looking up. I mean, I don't know if there's like this 80-foot monitor up there, these big white letters that he's reading from, because he's like got this squint that he's staring there, and I'm just like, what the, like, is he trying to do a Clint Eastwood impersonation, or what's the you know, I just don't get it. I don't get it.
I don't know about Joe. What we need to do next episode. I'm done. I'm done with Joe Biden. Joe Biden could turn around and cure cancer tomorrow, and I honestly, truly wouldn't care about him. But what we really need to do next episode, or some episode where we have an actual bullshit episode that's not political, like we said this one's going to be, and then we would have like a political rant for 2 hours. Is we really need to talk some whiskeys. Even if we don't, even if we don't all have the same bottles, right? We just need to grab a bottle and then tell everybody what's awesome about it or what's not awesome about it.
Okay, so I'm gonna be in the States. I'm gonna be able to buy some whiskey. I'm gonna take all this shit with me, and I'll record in the hotel room or wherever we are. So we'll interact. I'll go to the whatever ABC stores, all that stuff, Total Wine and More, all that stuff, and I'll take pictures.
No. When you come out here to visit me in Phoenix, I'll take you out here to a couple of these places, and we'll hook you up.
Check it out. Hey, so on a serious note, dude, Luke, on a serious note about that, like, at what point, Darren, you're tripping and say, and I get it, man, I get it. You know, you're back in the States. It's like when we lived in Alaska or we lived in Puerto Rico and we come back to the States, it was like, I have a very limited amount of time. Like we are jumping talk, you know, from one place to another very quickly.
Don't let him off the hook.
I'm going to give him some grace.
No. Don't let him off the hook.
I'm going to give Lou some grace. Where would be a point that we could realistically get all of us together, like in the same room? Like, even if it's only for, 6 hours.
When I'm back this time?
Yeah, in the States.
I would say either Alabama or Dallas, because those are two places we're going to be the longest. So, I mean, I know it's shitty, whatever. I need to prioritize my life and everything, but, you know, there's two places unless we want to go up to the Chaz.
All right, so we'll message back and forth. We'll
work on it.
Yeah, and even if only Roger or I, one of us can get you and I, you and Roger can be in the same room or whatever. At some point, I think we'll figure it out.
All right,
if we can. So, all right, everybody. That's going to do us for your freemium content for another episode of Culper's Canteen Cup. We really appreciate you listening. Thanks again to Carlton Zeus. And until next time, keep your canteen cups full of good whiskey. Keep them tightly secured. We'll see you.